Discrimination exposed, Black woman's incredible call transforms her life in just 30 seconds. Maya sat in the crowded church basement, her heart pounding like a drum inside her chest. The low buzz of conversation filled the air, but all she could focus on was the sharp sting of laughter from the corner. Curiosity wove her gaze toward a group of well-dressed businessmen huddled together. Their mocking tones reached her ears, dismissing her hopes, calling her just another, typical struggling mother. Each laugh felt like a dagger, twisting deep into her resolve, threatening to rip apart the dreams she fought so hard to build. She was a single mother in Chicago, juggling 2 jobs and risking everything on her small catering business. And now, they were making her doubt herself. As the presentations continued, Maya's fingers trembled over her phone. She could feel the weight of her daughter Zoe's future pressing down on her. Every moment at the diner, every late-night shift scrubbing floors, was all for Zoe. Determined to carve out a better life for them, she took a shaky breath and glanced back at the businessmen. The laughter that bubbled up from their table cut through her like glass, igniting something fierce within. Every injustice she faced welled up in her chest, boiling over at the realization that they viewed her as nothing. But when had she ever let someone else dictate her worth? In that moment, she reached for her phone and made a call to an influential community leader she admired from a distance. Maybe it was foolish, but she needed to hear a confident voice. The phone rang, and anxiety clawed at her, but then, as if the universe decided she needed a lifeline, he picked up. 30 seconds of heartfelt encouragement poured through the line like warm sunlight breaking through storm clouds. "You deserve to be seen, Maya. Your hard work matters. Don't let them diminish your dreams," he said. With those words, the noise around her faded, and for the first time in a long while, she felt a surge of hope and belief. She wasn't just a statistic or a stereotype. She was a mother fighting for her daughter's future. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue, but just when Maya began to steady her footing, trouble loomed at home. Zoe confronted her one evening, eyes blazing with hurt and confusion about the late hours and absent dinners. The tension crackled in the air between them like a storm ready to burst. Maya sensed the foundation of her dreams trembling, and guilt washed over her. Could she truly be the star she envisioned while being the attentive mother Zoe deserved? As fate would have it, the local entrepreneur showcase was fast approaching, and Maya knew this was her moment. Standing backstage, the crowd's murmurs vibrated through her like the rumble of distant thunder. She could almost taste the opportunity, but uncertainty gripped her heart. Could she speak her truth to a world that had too often turned its back on her? Would she rise to shine amidst the shadows of doubt, or would her fears drag her down just as she was poised to take flight? The audience waited, their breaths held in suspension. Maya took a deep breath, heart racing. She was ready to challenge everything, but would she find the courage to share her story? Or would the weight of expectations hold her back just when her moment was finally at hand? Maya stepped into the spotlight, adrenaline racing through her veins. The room seemed to shrink, every eye fixed on her, as if waiting for the first note of a symphony to break the silence. Her heart thudded like a drum, but she couldn't back down now. She clenched her fists, drew in a deep breath, and let it out slowly, trying to calm the storm swirling inside her. The faces in the audience blurred as the laughter from the businessmen echoed in her mind, a stark reminder of all that was at stake. But she was more than just a struggling mother. She was a warrior on a mission. With shaky resolve, she started to speak, her voice breaking through the tension like a ray of light piercing a darkened sky. "My name is Maya," she began, her voice steadying with each word. "I'm a mother, a daughter, and a small business owner fighting for a chance." She looked out at the sea of faces, searching for connection. "For years, I've worked tirelessly to build a better life for my daughter, Zoe. Every late night at the diner, every early morning spent planning my next catering event, it's all for her. To show her that dreams are worth fighting for. Tears pricked at the corners of her eyes, but she fought them back. This was her moment. This was her truth. I've faced countless judgments and dismissals, much like the ones I've heard today. But in the depths of those struggles, I found resilience. I found my voice. The words poured out of her, fueled by the encouragement from the community leader who believed in her. The audience leaned in, engaged, and for a brief moment, she caught the eyes of a few familiar faces from the church basement. They were no longer mocking her, they were listening intently. And I refused to let anyone, especially not those who dismiss my worth, dictate the trajectory of my life. My dreams deserve a platform. We must support each other, lift each other up, no matter where we come from or what we look like. Her voice grew stronger, each phrase wrapping around the audience like a warm embrace. A charged silence enveloped her as she finished, the weight of her words settling among those present. Had she truly made an impact? A ripple of applause began at the back of the room, slowly building into a wave, drowning out the whispers of doubt. Maya's heart swelled with pride as she soaked in the overwhelming support radiating from the crowd, but just as hope sparked within her, reality clawed its way back in. The remnant worry about Zoe crept back, clouding her newly found confidence. Would this moment be enough to bridge the gap in their relationship? Would her daughter understand the sacrifices she had made? Would she see her mother not just as a caregiver but as a fighter, too? The applause faded, leaving a bittersweet tension in the air. Maya stepped down from the stage, heart still racing, and found herself searching the crowd for Zoe's familiar face. Would her daughter be proud, or would there still be that flicker of resentment lingering in her eyes? And then, amidst the jubilant chaos, she spotted the small, determined figure standing at the back. Zoe's expression was unreadable, and Maya's stomach tightened with anxiety. Just as she approached her daughter, uncertainty churned within her. Would this be a moment of triumph or another step towards misunderstanding? As Zoe caught her eye, would she embrace her mother, or would her silence shout louder than any applause? Maya held her breath, waiting for the answer as the world around them faded away. Maya's eyes locked onto Zoe's, the energy in the room slipping away until it was just the two of them. Maya's heart raced, pumping raw emotion through her veins. In that heartbeat, she felt the weight of every moment they'd shared, the good, the bad, and everything in between. Zoe stood there, her arms crossed over her chest, her brow furrowed. Maya's stomach twisted. Hadn't her speech shown Zoe the strength fighting inside her mother? Or had it only opened the door for more questions? With each step closer, Maya could feel the chill in the air between them. The din of applause still echoed around them, yet it felt muted, almost distant. She reached Zoe, pain and hope mingling in her chest, ready to bridge the gap that had grown between them. "Zoe," she began, her voice softer now, I hope you saw how much I care." Zoe's expression shifted, a flicker of something: anger, confusion, disappointment. Maya couldn't tell. "Mom, why didn't you just tell me? You always say I need to understand reality, but why didn't you let me in?" The words hit Maya like a stone. "I thought if I made it look easy, you wouldn't worry. It was never my intention to keep you out." She grapples with her emotions, knowing she had shielded Zoe, perhaps too much. Zoe's arms dropped slowly to her sides, her walls tumbling just a bit. "You should have shown me the real you, not the superhero version." Her voice cracked slightly, and Maya could see the shimmer of tears pooling in her daughter's eyes. Maya stepped closer, the distance evaporating. "I was scared I'd be a disappointment, or that you'd feel like you had to take care of me." Her own voice trembled, raw honesty spilling into the moment. "And now? What do you think?" Zoe asked, her voice rising slightly, challenging yet full of vulnerability. "I think it's okay to not have it all figured out," Maya responded, searching for clarity through the chaos of emotion. "I want to show you that it's okay to fall, but more importantly, it's important to get back up. I've fought for our future because I believe in us." Zoe's gaze softened, and the hardness in her expression began to melt away. "You're not just my mom, you're a person, too." "Exactly," Maya smiled, wrapping an arm around Zoe's shoulder. "And sometimes, being a person means showing your flaws, not just your strengths. I need you to know that regardless of what happens, I love you." Zoe rested her head against Maya, a sigh escaping her lips. In that moment, they began to weave together their threads of understanding. Beyond them, claps had morphed into buzzing conversations, murmurs of admiration for Maya's speech drifting through the air like vibrant butterflies landing sporadically. Yet, all that mattered to her now was Zoe, her heartbeat syncing with the rhythm of hope developing between them. "What now?" Zoe asked, pulling back slightly, a tiny smile beginning to break through the confusion. Maya took a breath, ready to embrace whatever came next. "Now, we figure it out together. It starts right here." Just as they shared a moment of quiet, Maya noticed a shadow moving behind them, an unmistakable figure looming. It was one of the men from the board, the one who had sneered at her dreams during the pitch. His face bore an expression of interest and perhaps something more, something like respect. A voice cut through the moment, startling them both. "Maya," his tone was serious, compelling. "I need to talk to you about what I just witnessed." Maya's heart sank at the thought of the future being dictated again by someone else. Would this be an opportunity, or another stumbling block? As she exchanged unsure glances with Zoe, the air grew thick once more with possibility, and she sensed a pivotal moment approaching. Maya felt a knot tighten in her stomach as she turned to face the man from the board. His presence loomed larger than life, like a dark cloud suddenly blocking the sun they had just begun to bask under. She had poured her heart into that speech, and now it felt like it might all be overshadowed by this encounter. Zoe squeezed her arm, silently urging her on. That small gesture triggered something within Maya, a powerful reminder of why she stood there, why she had fought to share her truth. "What is it?" Maya said, forcing her voice steady. The man cleared his throat, his expression a mixture of uncertainty and respect. "Your speech, it was impactful. You've shown vulnerability and strength. Not many can do that." He paused, debating his next words, a flicker of hesitation and perhaps guilt trickling through his demeanor. "What I saw tonight was different. It was raw. A fresh breath of air in this room full of polished facades," he continued, and for a moment, Maya was taken aback. Was he genuinely trying to compliment her? There was an earnestness in his eyes that made her just a bit more curious, despite her skepticism. "That doesn't change what has happened before," Maya replied, her voice firm but not unfriendly. "I still know how you all looked at me during the pitch." He nodded, briefly lowering his gaze. "I regret my behavior. This space, it's often unforgiving, but your authenticity has sparked something positive tonight." Zoe tensed at her side, reading the subtle shift in the man's tone. "Do you think this is enough?" she challenged, a fierce protective energy radiating from her. She didn't want her mother to be fooled again. Maya placed a calming hand on Zoe's shoulder. "We'll see," she whispered, her heart pounding. "But I owe it to us to listen." The man shifted his weight, his posture softening. "I want to help you," he said earnestly. "I need to understand the experiences that come with being you. A black woman in this industry. A single mother. There are barriers not just to your ideas, but to you personally. It matters more now than it ever has." Maya felt a spark of something. Could it be hope? Or was it just a fleeting moment of curiosity? "What does that mean for me?" she asked, trying to keep her voice even. "I'd like to involve you more in upcoming projects. Your perspective could reshape our approach. We need voices like yours." His words hung in the air, a tether of possibility amidst the chaos. Zoe's brow furrowed, doubt still flickering in her eyes. "And what's in it for you?" The man glanced at Zoe, then back at Maya. "Honestly? Your authenticity. It can inspire growth and connection in ways we've ignored for too long. It's time for a change, both for the board and this community." Maya eyed him, taking in the weight of his proposal. Every part of her wanted to scrutinize his motives, yet the thought of actually being heard, of being valued, it tugged at her heart. Could this be the opportunity she needed to finally push forward, not just for herself, but for Zoe and everyone like them? Zoe's grip on Maya's arm tightened, and her voice lowered to a whisper, "Mom, just be careful. Don't get hurt again." "I promise, Zoe," Maya assured her, sensing the trust and fear swirling in her daughter's heart. Holding Zoe's gaze, she took another steady breath, steeling herself. Trust, she thought, is a two-way street. As the evening buzzed on, a strange hope flickered within her, shadows of the past fading just a little. "Let us talk," Maya said at last, steeling her resolve. But just as they began to process what the future might hold, the boardroom door swung open, revealing a woman with a fierce look on her face. "Is there a problem here?" she snapped, her piercing gaze landing on Maya with a mix of suspicion and scrutiny, and Maya felt her heart rate spike all over again. The moment hung in the air, heavy with unspoken tensions and expectations. Who was this woman, and what would she want to do next? The path ahead had just become even more unpredictable. Maya's heart raced, a mixture of confusion and anxiety flooding her. She hadn't expected this kind of interruption, and the woman's intense expression sent a chill through the room. Zoe's grip tightened on her arm, and Maya wished they could blend into the shadows and slip away from this uncomfortable scrutiny. The man beside her took a deep breath, seeming to steel himself against whatever storm was about to unfold. "No, there's no problem," he said, his voice firm yet almost placating. "We were just having a conversation about Maya's amazing pitch." The woman, however, wasn't easily swayed. Her eyes darted between Maya and the man, assessing, sizing them up. "That may be true," she replied coolly, "but I'm not convinced. We've seen newcomers come in with passion before, and it hasn't always done us any good." Maya's stomach twisted. Did this woman even care to understand her story? Or was she just another gatekeeper in a line of people ready to establish barriers? The weight of those thoughts threatened to crush her as she spoke. "You can't know that unless you hear me out. I'm not here to take what is yours. I'm here to offer something different, something that could change things for the better." The corner of the woman's mouth twitched at that. "And what do you think you can offer that we're not already aware of?" Her voice dripped with skepticism. Feeling the warmth of Zoe's unwavering support, Maya took another deep breath. "I promise I can provide a perspective that's missing here. Not only from my cultural experience but also as a single mother. This industry can feel cold and unwelcoming. I want to help change that." With the way the woman's brow furrowed, it was clear Maya's plea had penetrated the hard shell she'd encased herself in. Still, Maya feared it might not be enough. "That's fascinating," the woman said, her tone still guarded. "But we also have rules to follow and a reputation to uphold. We can't just accept sentiments without results. Prove to me that your vision is worth it." Maya's heart fell at the challenge. It felt like a tightrope walk, one that could end in applause or empty judgment. "I'm not asking for a free pass," she shot back, finding a hint of adrenaline surging through her. "I'm offering a chance to look at this whole thing from a new angle. To make our community inclusive, sensitive, and more powerful." Zoe squeezed her arm again, and this time Maya felt a thread of determination weave through her words. "All right," the woman conceded reluctantly. "You want a bite at the apple, then show me you can bring something to the table. A real plan. A pitch with substance, not just hopes. I'll give you one chance." Maya felt a rush of relief but also a wave of fear. She was being handed an opportunity but not without the weight of expectations. Was she ready to step into that space? The challenge loomed large, but the stakes felt higher now. As the woman turned to leave, Maya turned back to the man beside her, her breath shaky. "Did you hear that? Just one chance." He nodded, a glimmer of encouragement in his eyes. "You'll make it count, Maya. I believe in you." With resolve stirring within her, Maya nodded back as Zoe beamed at her. But just as hope reignited, the woman spun back around, her voice piercing through the air like a dart. I want it by Monday, and it better be good. You can't afford any mistakes if you truly mean to change anything. A feeling washed over Maya that she hadn't anticipated. Excitement mixed with fear, but she locked eyes with Zoe, whose spark of belief was contagious. Okay, Maya finally said, her voice steady. I'll show you. But before she could process the swirl of emotions, the woman walked away, leaving a lingering uncertainty hanging in the air. Could she truly rise to this challenge, or would this just be another disappointment? Maya felt the gravity of the moment. She was standing at the edge of a precipice, where a brave leap could lead to a new beginning. But would she be able to harness her fears and doubts to propel her forward? Everything felt amplified as Maya stepped away from the meeting. The murmurs of the gathering crowd faded, replaced by the thudding of her heart and the ringing silence in her ears. She glanced at Zoe, who was practically vibrating with excitement, but behind that enthusiasm was an undeniable fear. This was all happening so fast. What are you going to do? Zoe asked, her eyes wide, searching for Maya's answer. Maya swallowed hard. I need a plan. Something bold, something impactful. The anxiety built around her, and with it, a flicker of inspiration ignited. What if I create a program that not only celebrates diversity but also empowers voices that have been silenced? Zoe's face lit up. Yes. Yes, that's it. Start simple. Maybe a workshop series. You could invite different speakers, share their stories, show the power of community. Maya nodded, the pieces of an idea forming in her mind. Yeah, I could call it Voices of Change. A platform to highlight those experiences. We can invite single mothers, artists, community leaders, everyone. It'll show what real inclusivity looks like. Exactly. Zoe bounced on her heels. And we can use social media to amplify those voices. Get people talking, get them moving. You have to make it personal, your story needs to be at the heart of it. Maya felt a rush of energy. Could this really be it? Her heart soared at the thought but then landed back with the weight of doubt. But what if they don't see the value? What if it's not enough? Well, you can't let fear overshadow your passion, right? Zoe pointed out. You have to believe it'll resonate with others. You're not just creating a pitch, you're building a movement. People want to feel heard, and you can lead that charge. With each encouraging word, Maya felt the apprehension lift like fog in the morning sun. Maybe this was the turning point she had been searching for her whole life. Okay, let's brainstorm some ideas together. We can work on a presentation that maps it all out. I'll need stats, examples, everything to give it weight, she said, her voice growing stronger. Let's meet up later today at my place, Zoe suggested. We can put together a rough pitch. I know some people who may have connections you can lean on. As they hurried away from the venue, Maya's heart raced. The next 24 hours could change everything. The future loomed ahead, tantalizing yet terrifying. She felt the gravity of the task at hand press against her chest but also the exhilaration of a new beginning. Days turned into hours as she and Zoe devoured every piece of research, gathering stories that would support her vision. Excitement mingled with nerves, electric. This was a fierce leap into the unknown. Late that night, as she replayed her ideas, a thought stopped her cold. Would the insights she pulled together really transform anything? Would people recognize the urgency in her message? As dawn broke over the horizon, Maya was exhausted but alive with possibility. The walls of her past were crumbling, just enough to let in the light, but even as she prepared for the upcoming presentation, a nagging question lingered: what if this chance didn't lead to change? Still, the ache of fear couldn't overshadow the warmth of hope. And just when everything felt right, an unexpected message pinged on her phone, a reminder that the pressure was still on. Are you ready for the challenge, Maya? The text read. It was from the woman she had faced so defiantly. With a deep breath, Maya realized she would have to answer that question, not just for herself, but for every voice that needed to be heard. Could she really rise to the occasion, or would this opportunity slip through her fingers? The answer waited, just out of reach, as she prepared for the biggest pitch of her life. The day of the pitch arrived with a tense energy crackling in the air, and Maya felt it wrap around her like a blanket, a mix of excitement and dread. She had spent countless hours crafting her presentation, pouring her heart into every detail. But now, standing in front of the mirror in her small apartment, she couldn't shake the knot in her stomach. "Okay, girl," she whispered to herself, adjusting her blazer and taking a deep breath. "You've got this." Her phone buzzed with messages from Zoe, offering encouragement. "Remember, you're not just presenting an idea, you're sharing a vision," one text reminded her. Another chimed in, "Just be real. Speak from the heart." Maya felt herself relaxing slightly, fueled by the thought of all the stories she had collected. Each one was a testament to resilience, strength, and unwavering hope. She was not just speaking for herself today, she was the voice of many. As she walked into the conference room, the bright fluorescent lights cast a harsh glow on the faces in front of her. There were executives and decision-makers, their expressions ranging from skeptical to curious. At the front sat the woman who had sparked Maya's earlier doubts, the one who dared Maya to rise. Maya paused at the sight of her and took a breath, grounding herself. "Hello everyone," she started, her voice steady. She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. "Today, I want to talk about something that's often overlooked: the power of diverse voices and their capacity to create change." The room fell silent, and the weight of her words hung in the air. Maya clicked through her slides, each one filled with data and powerful imagery that illustrated her point. The statistics were shocking: disparities in representation, the effects of disengagement, and the necessity of inclusivity in building a stronger community. As she transitioned into the personal stories, her heart raced. "This is not just an abstract issue for me," Maya said, her voice rising with passion. "This initiative is deeply rooted in my experiences and the experiences of those who felt unheard or dismissed." She shared her story, how the journey of her ancestors traversed through pain but also resilience. With each word, she felt the audience connect. She could see it reflected in their expressions, the furrowed brows, nodding heads. They were leaning in, but amidst the growing confidence washed over her, a flicker of doubt crept back. Would they understand the urgency? Would they take her seriously? Maya pushed through. "What if we could create a platform called Voices of Change? A series of workshops that not only celebrate our differences but cultivate empowerment." She outlined the exciting plans for the workshops, detailing how different community members would be invited to share their experiences. She articulated the potential ripple effects: greater understanding, deeper connections, and an energized community. Just when she reached the heart of her message, Maya looked up and locked eyes with the woman who had challenged her. The room got quiet again. Feeling bold, Maya opened her arms wide. "This is more than a workshop or a program, it's a movement." Maya's voice echoed as she invited others to join, not just in words, but in action. "Together, we can champion the voices that have been silenced. Let us ignite the spark of change." She paused, letting the impact of her words settle. And in that brief silence, she realized something profound. It was never just about her pitch, it was about the collective heart of the community. "Thank you for listening," she concluded, breathless. As the room began to fill with applause, a wave of relief washed over her. She could feel the momentum shifting. But just as she began to celebrate, the woman who had challenged her stood, a formidable presence. "Well," she said, her voice smooth yet commanding, "that was impressive. But can you handle the reality of leading this movement? Because it's not going to be easy." Maya's heart raced once more. That was not the response she had expected. "Can I?" she thought, the challenge igniting another fire inside her. The question lingered, and the answer remained just out of reach, but one thing was clear: this was only the beginning of the fight. Maya felt her throat tighten with uncertainty. The challenge hung in the air like a weight, heavy and daunting. Some might have crumbled at that moment, but a flicker of determination sparked within her. She had spent years feeling powerless against the restraints of society, the whispers of doubt, the barriers of indifference. This was her chance to turn that feeling around. "Can I handle it?" she echoed softly, almost as if she were testing it out loud. "I have to." A conversation rippled through the room. Executives whispered among themselves, their expressions contemplative. Maya caught some nodding as they processed the challenge the woman had thrown her way. It was an implicit recognition that the journey ahead would teeter between exhilarating triumph and relentless struggle. She could sense that they were weighing her resolve. "I know it won't be easy," she finally responded, her heart steadying. She locked her gaze with the woman who had questioned her. "But I believe it's necessary. This community deserves a voice. I will lead this not just because I want to, but because we need to." A murmur of approval began to surface in the audience, and Maya pressed on. "We each have our own stories that matter. By empowering others, we can rewrite narratives." She felt emboldened, the initial nerves transforming into conviction. Every shared memory becomes a thread that weaves a stronger fabric of understanding, empathy, and change. As she spoke, the woman who had challenged her narrowed her eyes slightly, as if weighing Maya's determination. The tension in the room shifted, it was palpable now, filled with potential. Maya glanced towards her colleagues, the faces of those who had supported her throughout this journey. She could see the faint glimmer of hope reflected in their eyes, but then another voice emerged, a man in the back. "What makes you think the community wants to engage?" he asked, skepticism dripping from his tone. "People are busy, Maya. Why should they care?" That question struck like a taut string ready to snap. For a brief moment, Maya felt a pang of doubt. What if he was right? Would the community prioritize her imperfect dream over their daily struggles? Would they trust her enough to engage? "I believe they will," she said, rallying her strength. "People want connection. They want to be heard. We all do. This isn't just about the workshops," she gestured emphatically, her heart racing. "It's about creating something real and emotional resonance that goes beyond a single event. It's about restoring a sense of belonging. When they see that their voices matter, they will join us." The room felt charged, Maya could sense the shift in energy as the executives absorbed her words. Faces softened, some softened into smiles, while others exchanged looks of renewed curiosity. "And if I falter?" she threw back at the woman. "What then? If I stumble along the way, will you still believe in this movement?" The woman held her gaze for a long second. A subtle shift in her demeanor suggested understanding, perhaps even respect. "If you're there to own your failures, to learn from them," she said, "then yes. It's not just about leading, it's about evolving." Maya's heart swelled. She wasn't alone in this, there were others ready to support her, even through the rough patches that lay ahead. "Then let us start by scheduling that first workshop," Maya proposed, a spark of eagerness illuminating her voice. The room erupted into scattered claps, some laughter mingling with hopeful discussions. But as she stood there, the adrenaline fading alongside her nerves, another thought surfaced, doubt creeping back. What if she stumbled? What if her vision was too grand and her abilities too small? And amid the applause and hopeful chatter, a deeper question arose within her. Could she transform lives as she had dreamed, and could she transform herself in the process? With that question looming over her, an urge to push forward pressed her onward, like a wave ready to crash but held back just long enough to build momentum. This was her moment. But in the stillness, after the applause, she knew there was another challenge ahead, one that would test not just her vision, but her very spirit. Maya stepped off the stage, her heart pounding. The applause still echoed in her ears, but it felt distant now. Shadows of doubt began to weave through her thoughts, whispering reminders of what could go wrong. She could see her colleagues leaning in, sharing excited conversations about the workshop, but one nagging question lingered, heavy and relentless. Was she enough? As she walked through the crowd, smiles greeted her, yet it felt as if her feet were sinking into the floor. She caught snippets of conversations. Did you see her confidence? She's going to shake things up. I just hope she can deliver. With each comment, the weight in her chest grew heavier, an anchor pulling her deeper into uncertainty. Maya. A familiar voice broke through the noise. It was Jamal, her longtime friend and ally in this fight for change. He approached with a bright smile, his warm energy instantly lifting her spirits. You were incredible up there. I mean, seriously, you owned it. She managed a grin, but her heart didn't quite keep pace. Thanks, Jamal. But do you really think I can pull this off? He tilted his head, concern etched in his features. Of course you can. You've been preparing for this moment forever. Just remember, it's not just about you. You have a whole community behind you. She nodded, but the worry still curled at the edges of her mind. The voices of doubt surged again, reminding her of past failures, of moments when she had felt like she wasn't enough. What if I let them down? She confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. Hey now, he said, placing a hand on her shoulder. Every leader stumbles. It's how you rise that matters. You'll learn from this. It's all part of the journey. His reassurance felt like a warm light piercing through her uncertainty. But just as quickly, doubt crept in again. Was she really ready to lead, to inspire? Was this more daunting than she had anticipated? Before she could spiral further, the room began to shift as more people approached her, some eager to collaborate, others seeking her insights. Their enthusiasm swept through the space, and slowly, she could feel the spark of her earlier determination flickering back to life. She engaged in conversations, sharing her vision of empowerment and connection, yet, as the sun dipped lower outside, casting long shadows within the room, Maya felt the gravity of responsibility looming over her. There was more at stake than just success. This was about giving a voice to those who had been silenced. If she faltered, would she be setting back the very thing she aspired to create? When the executive team gathered around her once more to discuss logistics for the workshop, Maya realized she needed to channel the fears into fuel. We need to listen first, she said, her confidence emerging from her resolve. Let us host an open forum before scheduling the first workshop. We need to hear the community's needs, their stories, before we move forward. Nods and murmurs of agreement followed. The idea lit a small flame within her, and as discussions sparked around the room, she felt a renewed sense of purpose. What she was trying to accomplish wasn't merely about her, it was bigger than her insecurities or doubts. Maya took a deep breath, feeling the pulse of the community's spirit. She hadn't yet won the battle, but maybe, just maybe, she was beginning to understand what kind of leader she wanted to become. As the night wrapped into twilight, enveloping the room in a comforting embrace, Maya glanced out the window at the sky painted in hues of orange and purple. The shadows of doubt still lingered, but they weren't as menacing now. Would her journey be marred by missteps, or would it blossom into something transformative? Each moment felt like a step into the unknown, but the question leading her forward was clear: what came next for her, for the community? How could they truly begin to heal? As she stood poised on the brink of this new chapter, she couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest challenges were yet to come. Maya's heart raced as she prepared for the workshop, the moment she had envisioned now pulsating with real possibility. She stood in front of the community center, the sun setting behind her, painting the sky with hues of hope and excitement. This was at the launch of Voices of Change. As people began to arrive, a wave of warmth washed over her. Familiar faces from the neighborhood mingled with newcomers seeking connection. Every smile, every hesitant wave, felt like encouragement binding them all together. Maya took a deep breath, remembering all the hard work that had led them to this moment. No longer just a dreamer, she was a catalyst for a shared journey. The room buzzed with quiet conversation, anticipation crackling like static in the air. Jamal, always her rock, was handing out name tags, making everyone feel welcomed and valued. Maya couldn't help but smile at the sight. Look at you, making friends already, she teased, but she knew it needed more than friendliness, it needed heart. once the clock struck the hour, Maya stood before the gathered crowd, her palms sweaty but her resolve solid. "Thank you all for being here." Her voice rang out, and the room slowly quieted. "Today is about embracing our stories, our truths. Together, we can reshape our community." Eyes fixated on her, it was as if they were waiting for a signal, and in that moment, she realized it was her turn to ignite something bigger than herself. At the back, she spotted Zoe, her unwavering supporter, thumbs up and radiating pride. With every story shared, from tales of struggle to triumph, the atmosphere transformed. There were tears, laughter, and moments of pure raw honesty. One woman recounted her journey as a single parent, another spoke about battling discrimination in the workplace. Each voice layered, each story a thread in the rich tapestry they were weaving together. Maya felt tears prickle her eyes as she listened, realizing that this space was breathing life to what had once felt impossible: understanding and acceptance. "We may not have all the answers yet," she declared, her voice steady, "but what we do have is each other. We will uplift and empower our voices, starting today." Applause erupted, echoing through the walls like a jubilant celebration of unity. She had feared failure, but in this moment, she saw how greatly they needed this platform. Later, as the crowd mingled, Zoe raced to Maya, her laughter infectious. "Mom, you were amazing. I'm so proud of you." Maya wrapped her arms around Zoe, feeling a deep sense of connection enveloping them both. The tension that once lingered evaporated, replaced with warmth and understanding. Yet, as the night wore on and friends exchanged goodbyes, Maya caught sight of the woman from the board, the one who had challenged her before. She approached with an unfamiliar softness in her eyes. "Maya," she said, her voice amiable, "you did something special tonight. You've shown how powerful vulnerability can be." Maya couldn't shake her apprehension. "Thank you. But I still have a long way to go. This was only the beginning." "Exactly," the woman replied. "But you've opened doors, and I'd like to walk through them with you, to help your movement grow." Maya's heart soared. "Are you serious?" "I am. Let us work together. I want to help make Voices of Change more than a workshop. I want it to resonate far and wide. We both know there's still much to be done." In that moment, realization dawned on Maya: this was an opportunity for collaboration, not just for her, but for all the voices waiting to be heard. She nodded, her spirit ignited with hope. "Yes. Let us do this together." Back home, Maya and Zoe sat together, feeling the electricity of the night vibrate between them. "I think we can really change things, Zoe," Maya said, excitement bubbling in her chest. "It's going to take time and effort, but it's possible." Zoe grinned, her enthusiasm infectious. "And I'll be right here, making sure you don't forget to take breaks, too," she teased. Maya chuckled, pulling her daughter close. Life had shifted on its axis that evening, and while the path ahead was undeniably daunting, she faced it now with courage and a crew of supporters. Her heart swelled with purpose. This was the moment Maya had transformed her fears into a vision. She was not just a struggling mother anymore, she was a leader, someone who would uplift her community, no matter the challenges laid out before her. They would navigate the uncertainties together and create change that echoed through their stories. As they shared a smile, Maya understood that she was not just fighting for herself. She was fighting for every voice waiting to be recognized and every dream wanting to be seen. This was the start of her journey, and she was ready for it. Don't wait even one more second to support this incredible journey. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive stories that inspire change. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and spread hope like wildfire. We want to hear your reactions. Comment below your feelings about this ending. And most importantly, share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this transformation. Let us lift each other up together.